think if anything that's receiving state money is doing something that's against the law, that should be looked into, whether it's 99% or 1%.
Thank you. My next question is related to the ERIC system. So
again, we were listening to Secretary of State Steve Simon, and this is a fraud prevention hearing that's happening around elections in Minnesota. They're talking about things like election integrity, voter fraud, which you just heard some concerns there that will need some more fleshing out. The concern that was brought up is legitimate concern, so we'll hopefully get some answers on that. Potential misuse of state funds, we were just talking about for partisan election activity as well. So it sounds like they've got some specific examples that they're bringing forth, and we'll continue to follow this and bring you some more updates here as we go. And then tonight, of course, we'll have a more full recap of that as well. Let's see, another election-related story that we are following today, and actually right now, in Minneapolis, it started this morning. They're doing some more test running of their ballot machines, just making sure that everything is working properly, every ballot is counted accurately. And they've been doing this for a while. It's part of state law. Today is more of a duplicate test, mostly to show the public how the ballots are reported and make sure the public sees how these machines are working. So again, state law requires that every city has to test 137 voting machines and 137 assistive voting devices and 3 high-speed tabulators before any election. Election day is 3 weeks from today. Polls open at 7 a.m. It's November 4th, and we'll continue to follow some of that for you as well. And I'm sure you'll see later on in our newscast some of what they're testing out, and they showed the media and the public today as well. Okay, let's keep going here. Election. Just more to bring you, because we have been here on All Day. We've been focusing on mayoral candidates in Minneapolis and then also in St. Paul. So this week we are interviewing 5 candidates from Minneapolis. These are the 5 who sort of registered or made their mark in the DFL convention, nominating convention this past summer. These are the 5. So yesterday we had incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey on. Today is Dwayne Davis. Tomorrow, State Senator Omar Fateh. Thursday is Jazz Hampton. And then Friday, Brenda Short's going to join us. And you can watch each of these conversations live. They're going to happen at 1:15 every day right here. Also, we'll clip them individually and put them on our website, and you can watch them on our YouTube channel as well. So look for those. And then on the St. Paul side, there are 5 candidates total. 3 who are running for mayor of St. Paul are actually going to be taking part in a debate here in less than 2 hours. That's going to get started. It's hosted by NPR and the Pioneer Press. So later in the show, we have the 2 moderators, Brian Baxt and Frederick Malo, are going to join us to talk about this debate, which again, it's going to stream live at 2 p.m. NPRnews.org is where you can watch that. Here on All Day Live, we are going to be hosting all 5 of those candidates who are running for mayor of St. Paul next week. Each get a day. Whoever responds first gets to pick their day. They get 10 minutes. There are topics that are sent out ahead of time. It's the same for Minneapolis and St. Paul. And then I choose specific questions that they don't know, but know the topics. And they get 10 minutes, each of them. And we go through those. And they can't attack another candidate because there's no opportunity to defend themselves. So it's kind of a nice way for them just to be able to really just talk about what they're bringing to the table. So a lot of opportunities for everybody to get in there and be part of the process. Okay, happening just a bit ago here, something that we wanted to bring to your attention. We know that efforts on gun violence prevention and this special session have just appeared to kind of stall out at the state level. So now local leaders, of course, want the ability to talk about this and address it in their own communities. Right now, state law prevents cities and counties from enacting their own gun ordinances. Well, we know that several mayors came together. There were like 9 or 13 of them who came together a couple of months ago, right after the mass shooting at Annunciation Church and School. And they basically came together at the Capitol and said, if legislators aren't going to do this, we want the ability to be able to make these changes within our own communities. Well, today, cut to today, St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey were joined by some other local leaders at the state capitol, and once again demanding action on gun violence prevention. Let's see, they unveiled Okay, so now they're unveiling a set of ordinances that would give the control to local governments to take up the issue. So we have a portion of that press conference. We just wanted to play that for you. This happened just a short time ago.
Sadly, we all know that our Congress is unlikely to take bold action, and we all know that there's an uphill battle. Our governor has said we need a special session, and we have legislative leaders who are fighting to push for a special session, but we still have an uphill battle for bold action to come out of this space, so that means local leaders have to stand up and act. We have to do something different, and I'm proud to be a part of a local collective of leaders who have said we are going to do something different. We are proposing in all of our cities, moving forward, we will be proposing a set of policies that will do 4 simple things. That will ban the public possession of assault weapons, that will ban those devices that turn regular guns into machine guns, that will ban guns in libraries and parks and rec centers and sensitive civic spaces, and that will require every gun to have a serial number. Those things have 2 things in common. One, most Minnesotans, the vast majority of Minnesotans, think that's the bare minimum of what we ought to be doing on guns. And 2, there are a number of leaders right here in this building, in our legislature, who says that's far too much. That's absurdity, and we have to make sure that we make that plain. We have asked, and we're asking again, for our state to either act and set those things into law statewide, or remove the preemptions that prevent cities from being able to implement these laws and ourselves.
In the Annunciation shooting, hundreds of rounds were fired by a military-style weapon with a high-capacity magazine. By the way, these guns and that magazine, they were obtained legally. That is precisely the problem. And we as mayors are trying to make a difference, because here's the thing, we're the ones that get called at 1:30 in the morning because yet another kid has been gunned down. We're the ones that have phone calls and meetings with grieving family members who are suffering deeply because of gun violence. We know what the answers are. The answers are to get these weapons of war off our streets, to ban high-capacity magazines, to ban assault rifles. And if the federal and state legislatures aren't able or willing to do it, give us the ability to do it ourselves, because we have a deep responsibility and obligation to keep our city safe.
All right, so again, those were the mayors of both Minneapolis and St. Paul, and then also some other state leaders and local leaders who are unveiling these set of ordinances now, another step forward in their goal to allow local governments to have the control over gun violence and prevention in their communities, and not leaving it just up to the state legislators. So we'll keep an eye on all of that for you as well. One more quick note here before we switch over to the government shutdown. I want to give you an update on that. Just wanted to put this out there. Blois Olson, who we've had on here as a guest, and many of you know is a political analyst in the area, has a newsletter that he puts out, and something kind of caught our attention here. He's with Fluence Media, by the way. Sources are saying that Republican Speaker Lisa Damuth is inching closer to announcing a run for governor. It sounds like, according to Blois, that she's being recruited by some Republicans to enter the race. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But that is kind of the first time at least I have heard somebody talk about this publicly. So Blois sharing that information with us, and so we appreciate that. He told me one time they have us on in the office. So Blois, if you're watching, hello to you and your friends in the office. All right, let's do this. Let's do the government shutdown really quickly. Just want to get you up to speed. I wish I had more to say that was good news, getting things open, but unfortunately, no. Government shutdown day 14. What we know right now, and I believe this is the case, and maybe Ryan can kind of double check on this for us, but it looks like the Senate is going to be convening at 2 o'clock our time, and then a vote looks like it's planned for about 4:30 our time today. So that's one thing I want to just try to firm up. And there was going to be some discussion beforehand about a path to move forward. So we'll see. Today's vote would be the 8th time that they voted. The 7 failed votes that got us here really didn't have any clear indication that any more of the Democrats would change their vote. They need to meet that 60-vote threshold to reopen the government. And of course, the standoff here, this all centers around the health care policy changes. The Democrats want one thing, the Republicans want another. We know that the result of this is about 2 million federal workers who are not getting paid. And many of you have seen stories about airports in some parts of the country. We're talking about some essential workers like air traffic controllers, federal law enforcement as well. There is some activity to try to get military paid this week, so we'll continue to follow that as well. Right now, as it stands, day 14 makes this the 5th longest shutdown in U.S. history. The House is out of session right now because remember, they passed their bill weeks ago. We talked to Representative Tom Emmer. He was here with us as they had passed that. He came back home. They've been sort of on recess since then. We are now waiting on the Senate. If you want to watch all of this today, just wanted to let you know it is senate.gov. Senate.gov. You can go and watch some of the streaming here today. So. Is it 2? Ryan, thanks. Ryan happens to be in here today with me and got that confirmation. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Okay, a couple more things here. We've got the fire chief here who we want to talk to in just a couple of minutes. But we also have. Did we want to try to take the Viking stuff? Okay. Let's talk. Let's go to the Vikings. Let's go to TCO and listen in here on some media availability.
6 of your offensive linemen on the field goal protection team unless you feel really, really good about a defensive lineman going out there and doing it. And so obviously you don't want to put your center right there. So that eliminates 1 of the 8. So now you're really down to 7 guys that could possibly go out there to fulfill those 6 spots. And so, I mean, you really don't have a choice but to put your starters out there. And maybe you might be able to have one guy, let's call it a Christian Darisaw, not be out there on the field. Right. Whereas, all right, well, now I'm only down to 6 guys. And so these 6 guys are really all I got unless I want to throw, a Redmond into the game or Ty Ingram Dawkins into the game. Or now you kind of get into the Jonathan Allens. And now it's like, all right, well, how much better is a Jonathan Allen than, let's call it a Donovan Jackson? So at the end of the day, and you got to have the best guys out there because, again, I mean, this play is so important because points is on the line. And so you got to put your best guys out there because, again, what you're seeing around the league from a trend standpoint is, defensive starters are out there. Myles Garrett, was taking it to school 2 weeks ago. Him, Denzel Ward, week before that, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward is out there. Like, those guys are out there penetrating and really trying to cause a ruckus out there and wreak havoc to see if they can find a way to steal points from us. And so we just got to be locked in and, we emphasize it week in and week out, and we spend plenty enough time on it to understand how important of a play it is. And, we only allotted 8 guys on game day, and 6 out of those 8 got to be out there. And really, it's 7 out of 8 because the center won't ever be out there.
We've seen Xavier Scott become an offensive contributor. What did you see from him?
Okay, listening in on that Vikings presser here, we heard yesterday from KOC. Still no word on who's going to start at quarterback, so we'll watch that very, very closely. And then we're just listening to Matt Daniels there, special teams. I wonder if they're going to talk at all about the kick that hit the cable, because I think they did admit that it did hit the cable. I wonder if that's good. And so I think Will Reichert, if I remember right, wanted that off of his. He and his agent wanted that off of his his record. Yeah.
Hit and miss record.
Yeah, it's hit and miss record. Thank you, Chief. Yes, and so stay tuned for that. It sounds like it's not going to happen, but so obviously we're going to talk to Chief about the Vikings too when he comes over here. All right, one more thing before we hit a break and talk to the Chief for real this time. We want to go check in with our Lauren Entrego because we're following the green line, Lauren. I know there's not much going on behind you, so explain where you are, what's going on. It's a benchmark day.
Day and really exciting, Amy. Soon Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minnetonka, and St. Louis Park will all be connected to the Twin Cities Metro Transit light rail system. And we're at the very last stop of the new Green Line extension. This is the Southwest Station. You've maybe been here before if you've taken a Metro Transit bus or anything with Southwest Transit. But this is a beautiful new waiting space. It's covered, it has heaters, it has screens with arrival and departure times. These tracks, though, Metro have never been used, but neighbors are very familiar with them. Construction started over 7 years ago on this track, which has become the costliest public works project in state history, now totaling over $3 billion. This is a very anticipated update because lots of things have pushed back and delayed this project. Some good news, though. The Metropolitan Council just announced today they have moved on to the next phase, which is safety testing. That's what you're seeing right here on the tracks right now. So I want to show you a map of the Green Line Extension project. When it's completed, it's going to service 16 different stations in the Southwest Metro. It's about 14.5 miles long. It stretches from Target Field through Hopkins, St. Louis Park, Minnetonka, all the way here to Eden Prairie at the Southwest Station. And we have some photos of what was going on this morning. Early today, Metro Transit began its first test runs of the light rail track. So they're testing all sorts of things here, from the traction of the metal tracks to the sounds that come over the warnings in the warming center, as you just heard, to light signals at each stop, and whether everything is working properly. Metro Transit is going to complete over 4,000 safety tests between now and their projected opening date, which is sometime in 2027. So what do you need to know right now? The Green Line extension, which has been on the ground for over 7 years, is now live. So we need to start treating these tracks as live tracks. You're going to be seeing carts and something called the cart wagon, the truck wagon, moving on both sides of the light rail track every day at all hours of the day between now and 2027. We don't have an exact date yet, Amy, of when this track will be live. A lot of safety inspections have to go on between multiple different organizations that are all kind of working together on this project between now and then. But sometime in 2027, Eden Prairie residents will be able to take the light rail to a Twins game and really connect the Southwest Metro to the greater project. They have a project website where you can learn the exact test times of your station throughout any of those Southwest suburbs. Metro Transit website has all of the details, but certainly an exciting update for folks who have seen this track on the ground for years and have been waiting to take it.
Yeah, and definitely great advice. It just heads up. I mean, you're so used to nothing happening, and so now really so important to just, as you're approaching, or just know that there's going to be stuff going on. So, all right, Lauren, thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, righty. Sorry, you just told me something, Amber, and I caught the tail end of it. Okay, did you want to drop into that quick?
Myself and everybody else has to just do their job and things.
Gopher football availability here with the media. So we're keeping an eye on this. We've got several players that are going to be coming up here. Do you want to take a break quick? Okay, quick break, and we'll be right back. We're going to continue more live coverage here. We've got Chief Tyner sitting here as well. Looking forward to a conversation with him as he announced his retirement last week. So stay with us. All Day Live continues. Also, a really important Highway 7 in Minnetonka. If you use it, you need to stay tuned. There's something you need to know about that's happening. So we'll see you here after the break. Hi, welcome back to All Day Live. It's 12:25, and looking forward to this next conversation. He's been a Minneapolis firefighter for more than 30 years, and then spent the last 5 leading that department. And now Chief Brian Tyner is closing out this chapter. He's going to start a new one. He's going to be retiring at the end of the year, and he joins us right now. So thanks for being here, Chief. Appreciate it. I was like, I don't know that I've met you out in the field, and you said, oh yeah, way back in the day. It was a Bloodmobile, something or another, and yeah. So it's good to see you again after all these years. I'm curious, so you announced your retirement, I think it was last week. What has that been like for you here this past week?
So I guess I've known I was going to be retiring at the end of this year for a long time, but now it's starting to feel real now that we're kind of talking about it. In some ways it's exciting, in some ways it's a little scary. You know, when you've been doing something for 30 years, 30 plus years, the thought of kind of moving on can be a little bit scary, you know, and a little bit, I don't know, a little anxious, you know, but exciting too.
Yes.
So.
And we'll talk a little bit here in a little bit about your next chapter, which is really interesting and exciting too. Do you think that you'll somehow keep one kind of foot or one kind of something in this world that you've spent so many decades dedicated to?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to, I don't think you ever really truly completely walk away. I'll be a retired member of a number of the organizations that I'm a part of now, so I'll still be connected. You never really ever truly completely walk away, I don't think.
You've been in this community for so long, and you know, really, when we talk about in the community, you have been right there, you know, risking your life alongside of other firefighters and first responders. I'm curious if there are memories that stand out for you that you'd be willing to share with us, because you probably had so many.
Yeah, I do have a lot of memories. There's a lot of stuff that I don't remember too, but there are a lot of things that I really do remember that stand out for me. One of them was a birth of a child that, you know, we helped out with, but it had complications, and so we had to take the mother down to the hospital, and we got her there, and in an emergency room they were able to actually deliver the baby, but the baby had gotten to a point where we weren't sure if he was going to survive. And then probably about 4 or 5 years later, we were at an award ceremony, and the parents were there for a different person getting an award, and they recognized me and they let me know that, yeah, you know, the kid's doing great. He's, you know, growing up. He didn't suffer any complications. So that's the moment that, you know, really was kind of heartening for me. Another person was another person that I had helped that had suffered some trauma. It was a domestic assault kind of situation, and you know, she was attacked with a knife and hurt pretty badly. And I remember her asking me, you know, am I gonna die? And I said, well, not today, you know. So we're gonna, you know, take care of you. But I really didn't know how it was gonna come out. And I ran into her a couple of years ago at a community event, and she remembered me, and she remembered all of that. She said she remembered me telling her that, and then the next thing she knew, she was waking up in the hospital. But you know, when we send people to the hospital, we never find out what happened after that because of HIPAA laws and things like that. So you know, to find out that she had, you know, survived and was doing really well was a really great moment for me as well. And I think it was a great moment for her, and we kind of had a little reunion, and it was, I don't know, it was a great moment that I'll never forget.
I think what's so interesting is that both of your examples, the first 2 things you talked about were impacts that you had on human beings. And when I'm thinking about asking you that question, I'm thinking about what was the fire that you responded to, what was the circumstance. No, and I want to go there too, but I love that that's where you went first, because that's what's most memorable to you, are the people that you have affected over the years. So yeah, talk to us about some of the emergency response, because yes, in addition to fighting fires, you guys do a lot. Things like you just talked about. The firefighting aspect of it in itself is so incredible and heroic, and you know, not everybody can do this kind of work. Tell me about some of the things that you have come across over the years that really, you know, have had the biggest impact on you as far as fighting those fires.
You know, a couple of the fires that really, well, first of all, I'll never forget my first fire. I was a rookie on Fire Engine 8 over in South Minneapolis, and we got a fire, and it was blazing, and we were the first ones in, which means I'm laying the attack line in there, and I went in with my captain, and I remember I was so excited and nervous at the same time, and just not wanting to mess up. But we went right in there, and we were in there. We ended up working the whole 10-15 minutes that our bottle allows us to work. And I remember when I came out, the driver was like, "Hey, your helmet is melted." So my shield had melted all around my helmet. It was so hot in there, which taught me a lesson to stay low. I was just standing up.
Okay?
I was just standing up. I remember my captain like, "Get down."
My goodness. Wow.
So, but you know what? We just changed bottles and went right back in and finished off. And I actually kept that shield. It's kind of one of my souvenirs, so to speak, that I've always kept. It's in a shed somewhere, probably collecting dust, but I have it. Another one was, I don't remember if you remember, there was a bar and nightclub called Norma Jean's Restaurant, and that huge fire is one that always stood out for me. I think that was my biggest one, working on a fire truck. We're actually having to do rescues and things. There were no rescues to be had in that one, but everybody survived, but there was nobody we had to get out of there. But that big fire really stood out to me. And then the Drake Hotel fire. Now, by then I was an assistant chief, so I wasn't going in. And then, of course, the Cedar High-Rise fire. That one stood out for me because of the tragic nature of it.
Yes. You were appointed chief, it was 5 years ago, so just think about the timing here, you guys. 2020, December of 2020 is when you stepped into that leadership role. The second black chief ever appointed in the city of Minneapolis. What does that mean to you, and then what was that like to enter in during that time?
So it was, first of all, it was an honor of a lifetime, but also it was a challenge. First of all, it was an honor to be named fire chief for this department, an honor to be only the second black chief to do it. But my goal wasn't ever to be the black chief. My goal was to be the best chief. And time would tell if I was able to do that or not. I think there'd probably be differing opinions depending on who you ask. But I felt like we got some things accomplished. But it was really challenging in that, it was still in the throes of COVID, just on the, tail end of the riots behind the George Floyd killing and things like that. And so the fire department really had a lot of recovery to do. And so being able to navigate our way through COVID and being able to lead our navigation through the recovery of those riots, which, caused a lot of people mental anguish and things that they're still dealing with today, I think was the biggest challenge that faced me coming on. But we were able to do it. We were able to work our way through it. It was kind of tough because, especially with COVID, the goalposts kept moving, and the health directives and everything kept changing, and you had to really be nimble enough to be able to navigate through that. But we were able to do it.
Yeah, and again, you're not just responding to physical fires. There was so much more that you all were doing at that time. I wanted to go through some of the accomplishments here that you've been able to, people say you always want to leave it better than when you came, right?
Yes, so, that was my goal.
If I could list a couple things, and then you kind of talked to me about what you were most proud of, but I just want to let folks know some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in your time is, one is the EMS Pathways. This is that paid internship program for underutilized populations designed to launch young people into first responder careers. 85% of graduates have been people of color, 45% are female. Safe Station is another one. We can go back here. Safe Station, judgment-free resource at Fire Station 14. People can seek help for substance use challenges, modern alerting systems, so we're improving response times, and launch a nationally recognized commercial building inspection program were just a few that I was able to find. So those, or something else that you were just so proud of?
Yeah, well, I'm proud of all of those things. The EMS Pathways Academy actually began under my predecessor, Chief John Friedel, but he gave me the honor of being able to lead the implementation of it. So I'm very proud of that, and it really focuses on underrepresented communities and getting them into the fire service and to the EMS services. And so that has been a really successful program. I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the fact that we were able to add 15 firefighters and reopen Engine 10. The downtown corridor is just bursting at the seams in terms of the amount of incidents that we have to respond to. Engine 6 downtown is actually the 4th or 5th busiest engine in the whole country. It's the busiest here in Minneapolis, but it's the 4th or 5th busiest in the whole country. And so being able to open Engine 10 to help out with that is something I was really proud of. And really all the things you listed, I will say that the most boring one on the list is the commercial building registration program.
I put it last.
Yeah, but it's also one of the most important.
Okay, tell us.
So first of all, when I became the fire marshal, this is back in 2008 now, the city didn't have a cyclical inspection program for commercial buildings. And the only time we got into commercial buildings is if somebody called in a complaint and we went to investigate that complaint. And so a lot of buildings were being used for purposes for which they were not built. A lot of buildings were being used or just were out of compliance with the fire code and things like that. And so the commercial building registration program is a program that I actually thought of in a class at the National Fire Academy, and then came back and worked on getting it implemented. It required buildings to register with the city, and there's a cost to it, so I got some pushback on that, of course. But that's what paid for the cyclical inspection program that allowed us to get all the commercial buildings back into compliance and figure out what was being used for what, because at that time we really didn't have a good record of that. So it became a national model. Some other cities adopted it. A lot of cities still ask us about it. We're still using it, even though the Fire Prevention Bureau is now in another department of the city. Okay. But yeah, it's something I'm really proud of.
Yeah, I can see that. And yeah, you'll never know the difference that made because you're preventing so much, hopefully now.
Right.
So it's one of those.
Really hard to quantify things that didn't happen.
That's
but
right.
I really feel like we save a lot more lives through prevention than we ever could running in the buildings. So.
Yeah. You grew up here. I mean, you're serving the community you grew up in North Minneapolis. Do you feel like the department over the last few decades has kind of evolved to represent better the communities that we serve, or is there still a lot of work to be done there?
I think the answer is yes to both. Okay. I think the answer is yes. We've come a long way towards representing the community that we serve, and yes, there's still a lot of work to be done, particularly when it comes to female firefighters. The national average of career female firefighters is only about 4%. And here in Minneapolis, I think we're at 8 or 9%, which is twice the national average, but still an extremely low number. So I think there's a lot of work that we can do on trying to recruit and bring on female firefighters to the Minneapolis Fire Department and to the fire service in general. As far as other minority groups and people in the city, I think we've been able to make inroads, but I think there's still work to do. If you look at our history, it kind of ebbs and flows. Okay. And I think we're starting to flow again now, but we lost a lot of numbers in the last ebb. So,
yeah. Well, your successor, hopefully, that's something that can they can take on and carry that torch. I just wanted to ask about the what's next, because sometimes folks come in here after a long career and they're retiring and they kind of just say, well, I'm going to go fishing, or I'm going to, or I don't know what I'm going to do. You do have some plans though, which I think are really cool. So tell us about what you're going to be doing.
I've been given the opportunity to become the next executive director of the Phyllis Wheatley Community Center. Okay. So the Phyllis Wheatley Community Center is a 101-year-old institution. I think it's the oldest black institution in Minneapolis. It began as a settlement house back in 1924, and it was actually created by a group of women who had been accepted to the University of Minnesota who were not allowed to stay in the dorms. And so they began the settlement house for them to stay in, and then it became a place where minorities and other people that come to the city of Minneapolis that couldn't stay in hotels or find housing could stay until they were able to get established. From there, it grew out to a community center, and so they kind of went away from the settlement house part of it, and they grew into a community center that now offers programming for kids, adults, pretty much everybody along the community spectrum. We have a daycare there at the Mary T. Welcome Daycare. I say we, it's not even we yet, but we have.
You're doing a good job of selling it, so I think you're. And let's face it, you're not a stranger to this place, right?
I am not.
It is part of who you are,
It is part of me growing up and everything. I went there as a kid, just hanging out to play sports and things like that. They had a music program there. They had boxing lessons there and all of that stuff. As an adult, I sent my children to the Mary T. Welcome Daycare. Awesome. And so they kind of grew up in there too. And then the last few years, I've actually worked as a volunteer on the executive board there. So I'm very familiar with the Phyllis Wheatley Community Center and very excited to be able to step in and be part of the team.
Yeah, well, we can't thank you enough for coming here today and just talking to us a little bit about your incredible career, and congratulations on that. And then also just thank you so much for your service and what you've done for our community.
Thank you.
You guys,
thank you.
We don't get to run into, most people in the public don't run into you unless there's a problem. So
That's
we don't
true.
Get,
That's
we don't
true.
get to see you to say, hey, thanks. But on behalf of so many people, thank you so much for your.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I still get embarrassed every time somebody thanks me for my service. They do pay me, so. But thank you.
Well, I love it. I love this new opportunity for you as well. Chief Tyner, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's really good
Thank
to
you
see
for
you
having me.
again.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. All Day Live will continue. Oh, no, you know what? We're going to keep rolling on because we've got live coverage of media availability with some of the Gopher football players. Let's take that live.
He's a good quarterback. He's one of the more, talented quarterbacks in college football. And, yeah, like if we're not doing our job, then they'll expose us.
Last week, Brown got outside contained a couple of times, and is that something you guys have to work on with this quarterback too? Is he got that ability to try to break contain?
He's a football player, so he could, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, we just focus on us. We focus on containing the quarterback. It doesn't matter who's back there. It could be Lamar Jackson back there. Our job is to contain him. That's how we look at it.
Anything else for Devin? All right, thanks, Devin.
All right, thank you.
All right, we are going to take you to a break. Much more to come here on All Day Live. More live coverage of some events that we're following, and some more extended interviews coming up. So stay with us. Oh, nice peaceful moment for you. We'll be right back. And welcome back. A couple of big weeks here where we are profiling mayoral candidates. This week we're dedicating 10 minutes every day to 5 of the mayoral candidates in Minneapolis. So incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry yesterday. Today it's going to be Dwayne Davis coming up at 1:15, and then 3 more as the week goes on. Next week we're giving that same time, 10 minutes live, to 5 candidates for St. Paul mayor, 1 each day. But before that, you actually have an opportunity to watch the top 3 candidates for St. Paul mayor in a debate. It's happening actually in just over an hour, 2 o'clock today, and that's brought to you by a partnership between Minnesota Public Radio and the Pioneer Press. So joining me now, the 2 moderators, NPR News politics editor Brian Baxt and Fred Malo, who's covered the city of St. Paul now for, more than 10 years, just specifically every St. Paul story. I just go online and like, what's Fred saying about it? Because he'll know. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thank you.
Amy. So let's start with the candidates in today's debate. Brian, who are they briefly, and then how did you land on these 3 in particular?
Sure. We have the incumbent Mayor Melvin Carter, who's seeking his 3rd term. And then we have his main challenger, I guess you'd say, is State Representative Kali Herr, who represents part of St. Paul at the State House. And then Yan Chen, who's a scientist and business owner. And Fred could talk a little bit more about how we settle on it, but we wanted to make sure that the voters heard from the people who have perhaps the best chance to become mayor in the election now just 3 weeks away.
Yeah, we looked at things like outreach, fundraising, and just shoe leather, people who had done the most outreach and really kind of worked it hard enough. And I think these 3 are the most viable.
Okay, and so Fred, I'll stick with you for a second. 3rd term's historically hard to win, hard to come by. Is Mayor Carter a lock here? What might his blind spots be, if not?
Well, in politics, I don't think anybody's a lock. Obviously, he got more than 60% of the vote last time, so he's coming in with that history. But he is also coming in with a history. He has, a full 8 years behind him, and they were tough years for St. Paul and for a lot of big blue cities. The Trump administration has not been a good friend to Melvin Carter at all. There's lawsuits going back and forth. Remote work has hit downtown really hard. I think downtown in general is just a story that keeps getting told and not necessarily in a good light.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that as well, Brian. As you look at some of the questions that you guys are going to be asking today, I mean, what are the things that, and I'll come back to Fred on this too, because he'll know, but what are the things that you're seeing as really important to the voters, the people who live in St. Paul? We see the things that make the headlines, but what do they really care about?
I think it really comes down to affordability of life as much of society right now. Costs are going up and city costs are going up, and cities are having to raise property taxes to kind of make things work. So that will be one thing that we'll talk about. Obviously, economic development. Are businesses sticking with St. Paul? Are they moving into empty spaces? Are they expanding? Those are things that are important to a lot of people. And then public safety. It's even as crime stats trend down, there's still a perception out there that there needs to be more done on that front.
Yeah, Fred, can you weigh in a little bit more as you're really on that micro level with the neighborhoods and the people who live in these homes?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of concern about specific business nodes. If you look at Snelling and University, about a year and a half ago, some folks were saying, hey, we've never seen it look so bad. We obviously had a big homelessness issue that kind of congealed there. We had a lot of problems at the light rail stations with loitering, and then just crime in general coming out of the pandemic was pretty high. It's gotten better, I think a lot of people would say, but they're still waiting for that development push around Allianz Field. There's construction cranes there, so maybe a year from now it'll be a different story. Same thing downtown. You see buildings that have kind of, for lack of a better word, imploded. That they're just completely vacant, boarded up. There's a lot of concern about what does that mean for the future of downtown, and then how does that translate to property taxes? If downtown's not paying my property taxes, then for roads and police and fire, then that means more for me as a homeowner to pick up the tab for. Yeah. So I think that a lot of that concern is going to play out on election day.
Okay, and Brian, just like Minneapolis-St. Paul has ranked choice voting here, the winner serving a 3-year term, though, right? Can you walk us through some of this?
Yeah, St. Paul voters approved an ordinance, I believe in the last election, where they moved the mayoral and other city races to align with the presidential year calendar. So the next mayor will be chosen in 2028, which of course has its ups and downs. There'll be more people voting. The mayoral races typically have a very, very low voter turnout. But it also means that those candidates will have to fight all that much harder to get attention and get their views across in a very crowded environment. So this might be the last chance for these St. Paul mayoral hopefuls to really shine on their own.
Okay, and I kind of want to get both of your thoughts on this final question, which is moderating debate is so much harder than people think it is. Stakes are so high, and there's just, it feels like nobody can do it right because, you know, somebody will be unhappy. But what are sort of the ground rules? Brian, I'll start with you, and then Fred, how have you sort of prepared for today?
My rule as a moderator, my personal rule is stay out of the way. I don't want to be remembered. I don't want to be part of the stories. I just want to ask the questions that help make the stories. Sure. And so I want to give the candidates room to discuss what they want to discuss. If their motives or their records are impugned, give them a slight chance to respond, but make sure that for the most part the clock is somewhat even. We're not going to put them on a 2-minute stop clock because that can kind of really interrupt the flow of debate if you're constantly having to scold candidates, but we'll keep some track.
All right. Fred, how about you?
Well, I had my wife play Brian. I had my kids play the candidates last night. We all went around the living room. Nobody threw a chair. Okay. It was all above the waist, so I think it's going to be a good, clean fight.
It's hard. I mean, just the fact-checking aspect alone in your head as you're like, is this where I can? Is it? And then, you know, you can't. It's just, it's a lot, you guys. I really, kudos to both of you. You're both the right people to do this. People should know that they're going to be getting a really thoughtful, rich conversation and debate from the two of you moderating this. So thanks for spending some time with us today, and good luck with everything. You can watch it. We want to let people know that they'll be able to watch it. If you can't watch it live, that it will be streamed real-time, nprnews.org at 2 p.m., but also airing Politics Friday, yes?
That's right, at noon on Friday, and you can catch it in the podcast if you miss it then, too, so plenty of opportunities.
Fantastic. Fred, Brian, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate your time. All right, good luck. Take care. Okay, Amber, do we have any more Gopher availability? Does it look like we have? Nobody up right now at the podium. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. Again, we are watching some availability. The U of M Gopher football team holding some, taking some reporter questions, and we'll dip back in there if somebody steps back up to the mic. And more live events to come all day live right after this. All right, so there it is. This is an empty podium right now, but we're keeping an eye on some Gopher availability here as I think the offensive defensive coordinator maybe are going to be coming up here soon. We've heard from some of the players talking about the big win, the big homecoming win, and so we'll keep an eye on that for you. Amber's going to pop in here, though, as we round out this first hour. Oh, wait, we got We got somebody. Okay, let's listen in.
So what are the ideas and solutions from the offensive staff to try and get this run game going?
It starts with starting fast because you put together a plan all week, and then you go into the game with a plan, and you have to start fast, and that's what you anticipate. That's, culturally driven. Starting fast, accelerate in the middle, and finish strong. And then secondly, I think it starts with me, sticking with the run. I think that's a big part of it too. And then I think our players just have to continue to get better, and then it goes again to where we have to continue to coach better. And if we can do that, then we'll have success running the football, and we'll be balanced. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to do as we continue to look, especially through 6 games of data. It's about starting fast, accelerating the middle, and finishing strong.
How much are you scripting the start, and how much is it just kind of game situation?
Oh, it's scripted. I think everyone in America scripts it. Some people, I guess, maybe, shoot from the hip a little bit, but I definitely have a planned out thought process on, maybe it is one way to attack a defense. Maybe it is something along the lines of, like, I want to show them something. It's all by design, I think. It might be to get some player on the offense a particular touch. I think that all goes into effect, and again, I think as a coach and as a play caller, I'm putting them in the best position to start fast by seeing, okay, we're anticipating this. Okay, we don't get this. How do we have to adjust? That's one thing I think that goes into the opening script, is it puts you in a position to adjust quicker with your personnel. Or, all right, we're getting what we thought. Okay, we beat them on this. How are they going to adjust? That's the benefit of scripting it. I script the third downs too. I have an idea of, okay, third and medium, third and long. These are the first calls I want to have. We get down into the green zone. This is the first shot in the end zone I want. This is the first run that I want. All that stuff scripted by design. I think you have to make all those decisions the night before, the morning of, when you're the clearest mind and the freshest throughout the whole week.
We've seen Drake now get a couple of fourth quarter comebacks here at home. What have you learned about him, even with the 4th and 2 scramble? You haven't seen Drake Lindsey win
Yeah. He's a dual threat guy now, I guess. I was joking with him about it. He's just he's a fun guy to coach. It's funny. Called that 4th and 2, and it goes back to Andy's question about, you make those decisions. It was like 4th and 2, 4th and 1. I had that as the play circled that I wanted to call, and he's going through it in his head like pre-snap, and we motioned Bibber across, and he's saying this ain't the look, and then he snaps it, and he's like, I got to make a play, and so he knew at that point in time, like, he's just so cerebral, so poised. It's just funny hearing him talk through the thought process of the motion happens. Him and I both know, it's like, all right, we got to make a play. Maybe Jamison or Bibber comes open, but then as soon as he came off the fake, he knew to go do that. I think, like I talked about last week with his leadership, I think that's just, it's starting to shine. It's starting to shine week to week with how he holds his teammates accountable. That's the most encouraging thing, and I think the one thing is we want to start fast, so we don't want to be down 14-0 or 10-0 every game. But it's just, you never can count Drake out when he's leading this offense that way, I think, and count this team out. And I think that's one thing that we've learned about the entire organization, is that the guys don't quit. They're never out of it, and they're just going to continue to fight. You saw that in the Ohio State game. You saw that in the 2 wins that we had. And I think that's the most encouraging thing, and that starts with the top. Coach Fleck has that at the top all the way down to the bottom, and it just goes all the way through Drake.
On that 4th down, is that the play they call timeout, or do you call timeout right before?
Yeah.
So if you have a play circled and you kind of show it, and I don't know, was it the same play?
No. So it was funny because those were the two 4th down calls, because I always look at throughout the week, and I do it at the end of the week, because usually in the middle of the week as a coach, you're very, very, you're tired. And so, like, I want to make those critical decisions on the morning of or the night before. And I circled both of those plays, and it was funny, they called the timeout. And you really want to teach the quarterback at that point, just throw the ball into the ground and everyone stopped. But it was such a quick whistle, and then everybody kind of showed it. So you kind of have to adjust to then. And I remember it took me about 30 seconds to think. I was like, okay, this is the call that I want. This is the call that we need. And it just ended up, it's a player's game. Like I've said it all the time, like the play did not work the way it was supposed to, but Drake made a play. I've never once talked to him about faking a pass like that. He just made the play. It's his creativity. It's the same thing that I would expect one of our receivers to do, or Darius to do, or one of the running backs. Like, you got to do what you got to do to get the first down. And he did it.
So when that, like this is a play you've been sitting on all week in that situation, and then it's blown, I mean, you're like pissed off?
No, not necessarily, because I think it's so fast. Everything happens so fast. I think people think that you have all this time. I mean, it was a timeout, so it's like 30 seconds. You look down, you see the clock roll, and they start the clock, and you're like, all right, I got this amount of time to make this kind of decision. And I think it was 10 and a half minutes left in the game at that point. And so you think you feel like you had another possession, but you knew how critical of a down it was. You just have to have it planned, and it is what it is. I think you just have to adapt and adjust and go from there.
Drake started 6 games now. Has he reached the point where you don't consider him a freshman anymore?
I don't think I ever really looked at him as a freshman. I didn't want to put that in his head. I know Coach Fleck didn't want to put that in his head. He has to play like an experienced guy right from the start. And since we started this thing when he was a early enrollee freshman, and he was taking the 2 reps as really a senior in high school, that was the plan, and that was from day one. That was my whole objective. Was we were working towards that Thursday night against Buffalo, where we were going to do everything we could to prepare him mentally and physically to be ready for that game. And then from there, the day before, we were sitting there, it was at the hotel at Snack, and I just told him, all right, it's over. Like, now you play tomorrow, and now everything after that is all experience. And you're gaining that experience for the time to come, okay? So it's a tight game. In the Buffalo game, we're up 16-10, and he makes the big throw to Jalen on the scramble. Like, that's an experience he has to build on. He did the same thing in the Rutgers game, kept going. He learned a lot in the Cal game. So I think your question is valid and good, because you have to look at those 6 games as everything that he's going through is an experience that's hopefully he's going to learn from. He's going to make a mistake and grow from, and then continue to get better.
You mentioned the leadership. Where else do you feel like he's progressed from game 1 to game 6?
One thing that, and we work really, really hard on week to week, is the run checks. Pretty much every run in the game plan, to a certain extent. Some of them are call it and haul it's. Others are, we're looking for a particular look or a particular front. And then also, we can also kill things to a pass. And I think that's where we continue to work really hard on, is putting us in the best run to create the best angles and teaching him. There was one run, it was a great experience for him. It was in the first half. We had some penetration by the 3 technique. And it was one of those things where we called the run. They gave us something a little bit different than what we were necessarily expecting. And the angles for the run, like, Drake could have handled that and made the ID a little bit different, and made it so we could have a little bit more vertical displacement or a vertical angle to get to the ID. And there was one of those things where we put it up. We learned from it. I talked to him about it on the sideline. Didn't come up again. But then we're looking at it on Sunday, and on Sunday we're going through multiple run looks throughout the entire season. Of, okay, all right, you have this run. Are the angles good here? Okay, he's like, no. Okay, where do I need to push the ID to? Well, maybe I need to go back a guy. And it's those types of things where you kind of took it for. I didn't take it for granted. I won't say that. But like with Max. Max he had those experiences, he had those moments, and he learned from them. And I remember he always said when he was injured his sophomore year at New Hampshire, he sat in the O-line room the entire year, and all he learned was angles, blocking progressions, combinations, things like that. And that's what we're going through right now. That's what Drake and I are working so hard on, is understanding the combinations in the heat of the moment. he can sit in the meeting room and, okay, this is an A, this is a C, this is a triple to the +1. It's those types of things. He can know that, but in the heat of the moment, can he see, okay, all right, the wheel's right here, I got to go back here, okay, or I have to slide the protection here in the pass and understand coverage principles from that, you know. But I think that's where we're continuing to improve and where I've seen his most growth. And then the leadership is the big thing, just the poise and the composure. But on the field, at the line of scrimmage, that's where we're continuing to grow, continuing to get better.
96 for Nebraska leads the Big Ten in hurries. What makes their rush so difficult? And what have you seen from the Nebraska defense as a whole?
Man, they're active. They get after the quarterback. I love the two DNs. You know, they're super multiple in what they do. Like, you can tell, too, a lot of the things that they do, you can tell they're very, very well coached. It's different than how Iowa is. Like, I always look at Iowa as, like, super well coached on defense. But I look at Nebraska, like, they are super multiple, and they're in the same spot. Like, you know what you could get, but they do a good job with disguise too. But okay, sometimes they'll be in the spot that they need to be when the ball's snapped. But like, you'll see 15, he's super active, he moves, he's really, really good with his hands, super twitchy. And then 96, like, he had the great game against Maryland. I know he showed up all over the place. I think he had like 7 or 8 hits on the quarterback. And I just, you have to have a plan, and it's a great thing that they have. And it's something that we have to continue to monitor and see, okay, how can we control these guys, you know? And I love the secondary. You know, obviously they're very good against the pass, you know, so I love how they play the game. Like, you can tell they run to the football. They're a very attacking style defense, and they got those guys playing really hard, and they're really coached well.
Physicality is going to improve for the offense. What needs to change?
I think it's just staying with the process, staying with the plan, and we want to be physical. You know, and I think it's, again, preparation and trusting your fundamentals and techniques is what's going to come into play with being physical. Physicality is also obviously a mindset. Those guys want to go out and be physical, and I also think I go back to the beginning of it is we want to start fast and we want to be balanced. And I always think, too, like, if you get into a situation where you don't start fast and then you potentially have to start throwing it, okay, pass setting is a lot different than running off the football. And if you can stay balanced, then you can create the physical nature to the offensive line and the tight ends. Instead of them always working backwards, they're working forwards. And I think it goes back to that, starting fast, and then me continuing to stick with it with the run game throughout the week and throughout the game plan.
What do you remember about that first game for you against Nebraska?
So we have been listening to some Gopher availability there. That's Greg Harbaugh, the offensive coordinator for the Gophers. We want to, though, now take you to Capitol Hill because we know that all eyes are on the Senate today as they are scheduled to vote. Yesterday, day off for the federal holiday. Today, back at it. And I believe, do we have Hakeem Jeffries?
We do. Crystal, you can take Del 12 full right now. Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay, so this is House Minority Leader, and obviously doesn't look like he's on any kind of a floor right now. This is just a media avail, but Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader, talking about the stall out here in the votes. Let's listen in.
Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. We are open about having a good faith discussion with our Republican colleagues to hear their ideas about reopening the government while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican health care crisis.
Leader Jeffries.
Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of the military, it looks like OMB is finding money and appropriating it to pay the military. Do you agree with that strategy? Are you on board with that? And are you interested in ultimately one bill on the House floor to pay the military?
I agree with making sure that our men and women in uniform, our active duty troops, are paid. We also need to make sure that we take care of all of our hardworking federal civil servants, which is why Republicans should be back here in Washington working with us to reopen the government, as opposed to continuing the Trump Republican shutdown.
Leader Jeffries.
Good afternoon, thank you. Republicans have run on repealing and replacing Obamacare since 2010. but you're arguing for these subsidies to help subsidize Obamacare here. Isn't that an indictment that there's a problem with it, the fact that it needs to be propped up in some form?
No, the overwhelming majority of the American people, including in Republican-run states, support an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits because they know that the Affordable Care Act has been an important part of ensuring that everyday Americans can afford to go see a doctor when they're sick, when their children are sick, and when their families are sick. And from our standpoint, it's strange that Republicans want to make this a partisan fight. This is not a partisan fight as far as Democrats are concerned. This is about the American people and ensuring that the American people can afford high-quality health care when they need it, including in red states. And by the way, the majority of states that benefit in terms of their people getting health care from the Affordable Care Act tax credits are states that Donald Trump won. West Virginia, number 1. Wyoming, number 2. Alaska, number 3. Tennessee, number 4. Mississippi, number 5. And states 6 through 10 are also states that Donald Trump won. This is not a partisan issue for Democrats. We care about making sure the American people can afford health care. Whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, we are fighting for hard-working American taxpayers. The Republicans do have a credibility issue when it comes to health care and the Affordable Care Act. The American people know we're standing on the side of lifting up their quality of life, and Republicans have spent the last 15 years, you are correct, trying to repeal and displace people off the Affordable Care Act. In fact, they've done it more than 70 times, which is why if we're going to resolve this issue, it can't simply be a Republican wing and a prayer. We actually need legislative action that extends the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And by the way, also addresses other aspects of the Republican health care crisis that is crushing the American people.
Leader Jeffries.
Third row.
Okay, as Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries continues to take questions there, you heard him talking a little bit about where they are right now. The Senate will get back at it here at about 2 o'clock our time, and then a vote is scheduled for 4:30 our time. So we'll continue to bring you the very latest. This is the availability that we have right now, and just to kind of balance out some of what Minority Speaker Jeffries was saying is, House Republicans, we had Representative Tom Emmer here a couple of weeks ago after the House had passed their continuing resolution, and so he had said, we've done our part here, the House, and so many of those Republicans have been on recess. Although I believe he's back in D.C. now, but so that's where they're at. They kind of said we did our part. Now it's up to the Senate. It is really all about these tax credits and extending the enhanced tax credits for people who use the Affordable Care Act. That's really at the heart of this. And so, as you heard, Democrats wanting to have assurances that will be part of the conversation moving forward in this, that they'll at least have those conversations. And Republicans have said that they passed this continuing resolution because they wanted to buy more time, a few more weeks, to be able to have those conversations. And so this is where we sit. 60 votes is what's needed. That's the threshold to reopen the government. And we've had today would be the 8th vote, and the 7 failed votes that got us here, really no indication that any more Democrats are going to change their vote. Maybe something has happened in the last few days that we don't know about. Yesterday was a federal holiday. There was no vote yesterday, so we'll see what happens today, hoping that that progress can be made, because as it stands right now, we are, let's see, the fifth longest standoff here, government shutdown in history, and getting closer to the top of that list every day that goes by. So we'll keep watching that for you. A couple of other things here. We want to run through some headlines here as we are running over the top of this hour. We have also an interview coming up with you. Thank you for popping in here and catching me up. Let's see.
Yeah, I just want to kind of keep us rolling here because I do have our next guest on the line,
Let's do that.
Amy.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk to...
Let's do it. Let's just keep it consistent. Yes.
Yep.
So let's get that rolling. And I'm going to get my...
Chris, for your sake, we're going to jump down to F2.
All right. And let me just get my notes here so that we are in the right place. Here we go. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to get, as I know you did this yesterday too, getting the timer kind of set here. So,
yes. So for people that are wondering what the heck we're talking about, we've been talking to a Minneapolis mayoral candidate every day. Yesterday was incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry. And today we have Dwayne Davis on the line, very patiently waiting.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. I just wanted to set it up the same way I set it up for everybody. So we have more than a dozen people running in that race, but we did choose to profile these 5 candidates who were recognized at the DFL nominating convention this past summer. So as you mentioned, yesterday incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry, today Dwayne Davis, Wednesday State Senator Omar Fateh, Thursday Jazz Hampton, Friday Brenda Short. Candidates were able to choose which day they wanted based on who replied first. Each candidate did agree to some ground rules as well. One being that this is a conversation, not a debate, so not an opportunity to talk about or criticize other candidates because those candidates aren't here to defend themselves. However, I will give each candidate an opportunity to respond to a very specific criticism that's been leveled against them, and so that they have that opportunity as well. And then finally, each candidate was sent the same list of topics ahead of time, and then I'll just be choosing questions from that list until we reach the 10-minute mark. So let's get started with our second guest this week, and it is Dwayne Davis. So thank you for waiting for us, sir. Really appreciate you being flexible here. Thank you. Sorry. I'll stop and let you reply. Oh, and this is why we do this. We got to make sure we can hear you. So Amber, there we go.
Thank you so much.
We got to make sure we can hear you. Okay, so I'm going to start my handy little crude timer here, and Amber will keep hers, and I will give you kind of time cues as we go as well. I've been telling folks that maybe 30 seconds to a minute is going to be the sweet spot in order to get through about 10 questions.
Yes.
So I would appreciate that, and we'll get rolling. So let me get my notes in order, and then. All right, so, and our time can start right now. So first we want to start with public safety and policing. We know that Minneapolis residents list homelessness and encampments as one of their top concerns. So specifically, what would the solutions you bring to the table be?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that we must have a plan. And one thing that we should definitely do is recognize that our homelessness response office and team is woefully inadequate for the scale of the problem. We have, I think, just about 4 people in the homelessness response team, and that team reports under regulatory services. As mayor, what I would want to do is to expand that homelessness response team in office with at least one office team member for every ward. That would be sort of the connecting point with services, wraparound services, connecting source to the county for the purpose of responding and knowing what's in front of us. In essence, I want to create a situation where we are making a pass through to the unhoused so that encampments won't have time to get set up. We know encampments start when 1 or 2 people gather in an open area. If we had a larger homelessness response team, we can have several pass-throughs with those first squatters to make sure that they get the services they need and the encampment won't get a chance to grow up. But I also want to move the homelessness response team out of regulatory services, which is the office that deals with nuisances on property and animal control. And I want to move homeless response to public health because that's where we can get the benefit of interagency collaboration and possibly see can we broaden the service matrix to include substance use disorder counseling, mental health counseling, and a range of other preventive care services for those who are unhoused.
Okay, 8 minutes left here. So let's talk about this. You're on the record as saying that you would not support the Trump administration activating the National Guard in Minneapolis. Want to make sure that's accurate.
That's
and
correct.
If they are sent here, say there's a federal ICE raid or other arrests, it sparks protests, riots, violence, looting. Would you support any kind of response by Minneapolis police in that circumstance?
Well, certainly. Listen, we know right now that we have a separation ordinance. The city auditor said that we need to clarify what that separation ordinance would require, and certainly there would be need for a kind of conversation, clearer guidelines for the police departments, regular conversations with the chief of police, really strategic responses. But again, if we're talking about turn into violence, I was there on Lake in Bloomington on June 3rd, and I'm here to tell you right now, the escalation in that contact happened with those officers on the ground, who simply put hands on people who were standing in a public area and began to try to move them away. And so I want to start with the understanding that I don't think our protesters are going in with the intent to get into a conflagration with law enforcement. But I also want to be sure that our police officers are honoring our separation ordinance, and that we are right now, as mayor, we should be really being in deep planning with how we're going to respond. But I also want to just say this: the city has to be very aggressive in its preparation for injunctive relief and for lawsuits. I hope that's what's happening now. If it's not happening, when I become mayor, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, and so 6 minutes left. Really quick, if I could get a yes, no, or maybe to this question. If elected, would you keep Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara?
Maybe. Everybody should be up for review when I become mayor.
Very good. Okay, let's move on to the economy now. Timberwolves and Lynx want a new arena. Would you support that? And if so, how?
Oh, absolutely, I would support it. My condition is that we do not put the residents of Minneapolis on the hook for financing it, that we do not use our our sales tax or anything like that in support of it. Certainly, if any business, what we will do as a city, which is our responsibility, we would certainly bring to bear our responsibility around public works and infrastructure. That's only fair with any business that comes to our city. But I draw the line at getting the residents on the hook for any financing of a stadium.
Okay. In 2021, Minneapolis residents voted to allow City Council to implement rent control. It didn't happen. Where do you stand on rent control?
I am not a fan of rent control. I do not think the government should get involved in setting rents. But what I would invite is the city really playing a much more productive and aggressive role in promoting nonprofit and public development of housing, because nonprofits and public developers are the ones who can set rents. They can set rents at deeply affordable, 0 to 30 AMI, and that as a public or nonprofit entity setting the price, then they can have an impact on the market rate for housing. And actually they can balance out. If we spend too much time on private development, of course there would be a bidding up of the cost of housing. But if we have more public and nonprofit development of projects, we can have a counter to the upward push on the pricing of housing.
Okay, about 4 minutes left here. Each candidate will have a criticism that I'm going to lay out there to be able to, you can respond to it. I'm asking each candidate to respond. So for you, there's been concern over maybe a lack of administrative skills and experiences. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that, listen, I worked in Washington, D.C. For 3 members of Congress, and the culmination of my career was being the Director of Appropriations for Democratic leader Steny Hoyer, where I corralled the staff work around the spending bills, the annual spending bills, the appropriations bill that you were just talking about, that the minority leader was just talking about. But I have been the lead minister of two very, one mid-sized church, one very large, wealthy church. And I tell you, again, I have the skill and the ability to bring together. I think I have more experience than everybody else who's running for office, I will tell you that, to direct this enterprise. And again, and that does not take into account my extent at several progressive think tanks and as a corporate executive. So I have the experience to do this, and I think I have more experience than my other opponents.
Okay, just under 3 minutes left here. Several city council members have defined themselves as socialists. We've seen the council as a whole kind of shift farther to the left in recent years. How do you feel about that?
I'm less concerned about that than I am about people who are unwilling to be a part of a governing structure that tries to get something done. I believe I can work with anybody. What I would require or I would ask of anybody, and it's the same thing that I'm going to do, let's figure out what we can work on together. Let's also be very open with our vision and where we want to go so that we can find out what we can work on together. So whether you call yourself a socialist or whether you call yourself anything else, what I would hope that we could all be able to do is look at our problems, look at our challenges, really express where we want to go, see what we have in common, see if we can trust each other enough to negotiate and compromise to do the next best thing for the residents of Minneapolis. That is what people are asking for us. Let's not get so ideologically rigid and so hide-bound to the thing that we get that we are unable to work together and figure out how to do the best for this city.
90 seconds left here. Last question is anything that you want to share with people about your personal life? And you talked about your faith a little bit, hobbies, lived experiences, anything like that.
Well, I just say this. Listen, my faith, I would not be running for the mayor of Minneapolis if I had not been a minister. It is because I've been a minister that I have had the privilege of accompanying people throughout their lives. And the one thing I just want to let you know is I love this city. One of the things is the people of this city. It's the abundance of riches in people, talent, creativity, beauty. All of these things are the things that I think animate me right now and makes me want to be a part of moving forward. I just spent some time with the people of Jungle Theater. My family loves theater. And the one reason I want to spend time because I think these are the kinds of things that we can commend not only to the residents of the state of Minnesota, but to the rest of the country. Minneapolis is a place you want to be. It is beautiful. It has an abundance of all kinds of things that you want to do. And that I enjoy it all the time. And I want everyone else to enjoy it.
All right, and that takes us up. You have 10 more seconds, but that takes us right up to our 10-minute mark. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Reverend Dwayne Davis, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for those good questions.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Okay. Yes, all of these, Amber is reminding me to tell you that all of these will live online. So each of these interviews, yesterday's with incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey, today's with Dwayne Davis, and then the other three that we have over the course of the next couple of days as well will live online, so you can check those out as well. All right, Amber, do we want to run through a couple more headlines? Okay, let's do it. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. A lot more headlines. There's so much going on today. You guys swimming in papers here. That would give me a good opportunity to get organized. So let's do that. Take a quick break. Any peaceful moment?
My favorite Zen of the day, Amy. Yes. Cows in Hudson, Wisconsin. It's like my favorite things. Wisconsin and cows. I can't ask for anything more. I love it.
Let's do. Oh, look. Thanks, Kirk. All right, welcome back. The gang's all here.
The gang.
Amber,
Travis is part of the gang.
Of course, you know, Travis is part of the gang only because, well, a lot of reasons. But one, Travis was with us in the, like, pretty much the inception of this show a year ago.
I think it was literally day 2.
It might have been, yeah, day 1 or day 2, from the line at Alcatraz, no less, as he was waiting to get in.
So iconic.
Made time for us. Okay, Amber, you want to help kind of set things up for us here?
Yeah, so Travis, you were just telling me you literally just got off the plane, basically, from the Pumpkin Festival in Half Moon Bay, California, right?
Yes. It was a very fun event.
Something different, though. You did not win for the first time in years.
Yeah, I lost my pumpkin due to a small hole this year, so.
Can you explain?
We got to back this thing up.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Please tell us about what, you know, we've seen. We'll talk a little bit more about what it takes and the work that goes into this, Travis. But tell us about the moment you realized something was going sideways.
Well, the blossom, which is where the flower is on the pumpkin, had started to rot just a little bit, so I cut it off, and there was what appeared to be a small hole in the pumpkin, but it wasn't through to the cavity. Well, it kept growing 40 pounds a day, 40 pounds a day, and then eventually there must have been a small, tiny hole into the cavity because it just stopped growing, and then it rotted.
I do actually have a couple pictures here, Chris, if you want to play G4.
All right.
So you were posting some of these online when the pumpkin busted. So can you just kind of tell us what we're seeing?
Yep, and you can kind of see the shell was really thick, but that brown spot down there is the rot, and that's where it started. But pretty healthy plant. It would have been something good.
Yeah, when did it stop growing? About how many pounds, or what was it?
July.
Say that again?
Yeah, it was about 1,200 pounds.
Okay. And then what's the record? What was the last couple of years?
2,749.
Wow. So what won this year? How heavy was it?
Brandon Dawson, a 2346, which I hand selected and shipped to him this spring.
So basically you kind of secondhand won, is what I'm hearing.
Well, maybe. You know, it was my seed from my North American record 2022, the Maverick seed, and it just kept on going, and it won by quite a margin out there.
Oh, wow. But you still went out to the festival. Yep. So what did you bring out there, or nothing, or did you just kind of participate?
Just myself, you know, but it was good. It was good to see everyone. It's like family out there, support the event, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
And I've seen you're still doing some other competitions, right? You've still had a busy year. So kind of talk about what else you've been up to.
Yeah, we've had a really busy year. We welcomed our second child in May.
Oh, congrats.
And the last time I didn't have a pumpkin was in 21 when we had our first child. So I see a pattern there, but needless to say, we did actually end up growing a really pretty pumpkin. And to my first daughter, it was, you could have swore she had the world record. She was just so happy.
That's so sweet. So what's the process now to start for next year? What are the rules? When can you get going again?
The plant went wild. We picked all the pumpkins, and now we're going to clean that up, plant some winter rye, and we'll get started April 10th, probably next year.
Okay. I am curious about the process, how you get these pumpkins to be so large. I spotted a video on your Instagram of you watering Happy the pumpkin that busted. So Chris, we can play this next video here. I didn't realize you just doused it in water.
That's, you know, my pumpkins get hit with water from overhead watering and sprinklers all the time. So unless there's some sort of problem with the pumpkin, it doesn't matter if they get wet or dry. A lot of people try and keep them bone dry. I don't. It gets wet anyways. So I was just out there fertilizing and watering, and it was a hot day.
Wow.
How much water does it take to grow a world champion size pumpkin?
100 gallons per plant per day, maybe 150.
Wow. That's
Incredible.
I knew it would be a lot, but that's honestly more than I thought you would say. That's crazy.
Travis, you mentioned earlier too the kind of the legacy piece of this is the it's spreading. I mean, it's literally spreading, and you are giving seeds, and so or selling. Hopefully, I shouldn't say give, but talk a little bit about how this has really just grown into something maybe even bigger than you ever expected. I don't know.
Yeah, the world of the internet now, a first-year grower can grow a 2,000-pound pumpkin if they set their mind to it. And so that's kind of helping. And then shipping seeds worldwide. I mean, you name the country, we've sent the seed. So,
it's incredible. Amazing. I'm so glad that you went anyway. I think, just to go and have fun and again, reconnect with your people. These are people who work hard too, just like you on this. And, not everybody can understand the process that you guys go through to pull this out year after year. So I'm glad you had a chance to go, and we'll be following you next year. And we really, we're all pulling for you. We really hope that
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to ask, Travis, I saw that the Star Tribune was working on a documentary on you.
No way.
And that was when happy turned not so happy. So is the documentary still happening? What is the situation there?
I actually asked the other day, and we knew it was, but I said, I'm sorry I lost my pumpkin, and they thought this was just a great take on it because, they know we can do it. It's just a matter of, this is something where success doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
It has its challenges. So it's going to be a great take on it. I really look forward to that one.
Do you have any sense of a timeline when people can expect to maybe get a glimpse at it?
Yeah, it'll be probably in the next week or two.
Oh,
so
soon. Okay,
great. Very soon.
Awesome. All right, that's really exciting. Good
We're
for
going to
you.
have to connect with our people over there, our friends over there, and have them come talk about that as well, because that's phenomenal. I'm so glad they're doing that. I watch that all day long. That's
Seriously.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And I just got off the plane, and then last time it was standing in line waiting to see Alcatraz. Thanks for
we'll
always
see where
making
he
it
is
work.
next year, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Hopefully with another championship belt.
Yes, the championship belt. The whole deal. Yeah.
Rings. The rings.
The rings.
The rings. Oh,
Look
pumpkin rings.
Oh, look at those rings. Those are awesome. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care. Okay. Bye. Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to connect with him again and get that set up. Wow. Just such a cool
it's so
story.
interesting. There's so much. People love this stuff, right? And it's like 'tis the season. It's pumpkin season, right? So who better to talk about it than Travis?
Just the amount of time and dedication that it takes to, like you said, you set your mind to it, but it's not that easy. Like there's just so much involved. So good for him for going, and he'll get him next year. I just know it. All right. A couple of things. Can I do this really quick? Can I mention this thing that I've blown past about 6 times that I keep forgetting to mention that is really, really important? Here, I don't have. Oh, and of course, I don't even have it in the. I don't have it here.
Would you like me to?
See what I did? Do you see what I did? Now I gotta
So
go
we've
through
been
these
dipping out of
papers.
the Gophers football press conference. It is over now, by the way.
Oh, you know what? I don't have a. Oh no, I do have it.
You don't have it printed. Oh, okay.
This is why I print things. Okay, this is a very important reminder. Gopher football fans, anybody, you can watch the Gophers. It is Friday Night Lights time on Fox 9. So Gophers take on 25th ranked Nebraska this Friday night. Fox 9, write it down, set an alarm on your phone. Coverage begins starting at 3 o'clock, followed by Gopher pregame, and then that game at 7. So we got you covered. I mean, start at 3 o'clock and just stick with us. And we are your home for all things Gopher football.
Amy, if you don't mind, I would like to quick buzz through a couple regional stories today that I thought were pretty important, and we haven't had time yet. It's been a packed show.
I know. Let's see, we still got Jimmy, right?
Yeah, Jimmy's coming up in the next block, so I want to zip through regional here, hit a break, and then bring in Jimmy to talk wild and some other stuff going on in the sports world. Sure,
okay,
sure.
You start going, and I got a couple things to pop in here and there.
Yeah. So I spent my morning watching the county commissioners board meeting up in St. Louis County. This the focus today around a data center and non-disclosure agreements in Hermantown. So a lot of drama here. We talked about this yesterday. My page full of notes here that I was taking through all of this. There was public comment this morning, Amy, and about a dozen people came up and spoke, and about every single person said, I don't want commissioners signing NDAs with private businesses. That is the big hot ticket topic up there right now. So the motion to prohibit commissioners from signing those NDAs was brought forward by one person on that board, Ashley Grimm, Commissioner Ashley Grimm. The motion did not move forward. It was never discussed. It was never voted on. They basically dropped it. And Ashley kind of said, what the heck? And I'm sorry to everybody that's in this room, because when I tell you it was packed, it was packed. When the motion didn't move forward, there was a lot of commotion. People are very concerned about what this data center is going to do to the community and why it was so hush-hush in the first place. So tomorrow, Commissioner Grimm is coming on with us. We're going to dive into more of that in a lot more detail.
Yeah, that issue really around, I mean, we've talked about data centers before. We Harwood, Fargo situation that's happening, and both, I will add, both the mayor of Harwood, North Dakota, and the mayor of Fargo, we had them both on, interviewed. They both signed non-disclosure agreements as well ahead of time. And so it was always something that stuck in the back of our head as like, huh. And then now we're starting to see it play out a little bit more. So, so we'll talk with her tomorrow.
And I'm also making calls to a couple lawyers, because everyone's wondering, like, can they actually do this? Right. Like, can an elected official sign a non-disclosure agreement with a private business?
Through legal before they did it. So it must be on some level legal. But so interesting stuff. So we'll talk about that tomorrow for sure with her. Okay.
One more thing up north, Crosby fire update, stayed steady at 300 acres. Containment up again, 85% today. So they're making good progress here, expecting a bit more rain the next couple of days. So that should help fight the fire up there. So
awesome. Can I just throw one quick thing, because I teased this story off the top at noon and then I have not gotten to it yet.
You're going to talk about Highway 7? Yes. I was going to say we could talk about it after Jimmy, but if you want to do it now.
Can we just do it right now, because I won't forget
Let
again.
me grab the map for you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for bobbing and weaving with me. Okay, so while you're doing that, I will just say, Highway 7 in Minnetonka, if you know this area, Highway 7 is a stretch where if you're coming from the west into like Minnetonka and then into the metro area, Highway 7 is a main thoroughfare right there. And it's going to close starting...
Chris, I brought the map up if you see it down there.
Wednesday,
page 816.
Wednesday, yes. Wednesday morning, 5 a.m. Okay, so tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Here's the stretch that's going to close, you guys. That red right there is what you need to know about. It is both directions of Highway 7 between Vine Hill Road in that Shorewood Deep Haven area and County Road 101 in Minnetonka. That's gonna close down, okay? Here's a couple, it's very important for a lot of people, but particularly I'm gonna let you know that where you see that kind of like that, right where it says Minnetonka, right above that, there's a little square with the dealy thing in there. That's pretty much where Minnetonka High School is. A couple of things. One, if you need to get to Minnetonka High School and you're coming from the west, you're going to want to know about this, because it's going to take you on all kinds of detours. Number two, we're going to have students, people, student drivers and walkers and bikers and people in that area. So just as you're whipping around there trying to get to where you need to go and now you're running late because of that, just be aware that that could be a really just a place to kind of be on high alert as you're in the car, because it's going to be, I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. So we're talking about this because it's going to start tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. It's going to run until, as you can see, October 20th. And so we'll just keep mentioning that here and there throughout the course of the next few days so that we can hopefully remind as many people as possible. They're basically replacing a failed culvert under the highway. It's creating a sinkhole, which does not sound good. So they are going to take care of that. But in order to do that, they have to shut down that entire stretch of 7, which is a really busy main thoroughfare to get from west to east or vice versa. So I'm glad I got that.
I have one more quick regional story before we take a break, because I love this story. We're going to head to Fargo for this one, Amy. A temporary wooden maze has just been certified as the largest wooden maze in the world. It's called the Great Maze. Go figure, right? It's in a parking lot outside of like a shopping center, and it's freaking huge. Do we have the picture? Yeah, I just got the phone with her and got permission for us to use this picture.
Okay, that doesn't look real.
It doesn't look real, and I'm telling you, when I made this, like put this into our graphics program, I could barely fit the maze on the screen. It's that big. It's huge. Kathy is who runs this maze, and she is actually going to come on with us on Thursday, Amy, to give us a closer look at the maze. But I love this story. It's huge. She says that it spans about like 40,411 square feet.
Okay. You can kind of tell based on what the trees and the little, landscaping there.
1.3 miles of pathway.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine getting
that's so big
in there? It's wood. Is it like wood pallets or what?
I did see a picture of it a little more close up, and it does look kind of like recycled pallets. I'm not totally positive. We'll have to ask Kathy on Thursday.
A lot of questions for Kathy. I love that.
We're building the questions right now. So if you want to go get lost in a wooden maze, that's the world's largest, head to Fargo.
Incredible. In a parking lot in Fargo. Okay. More to come on Thursday on that. All right. So we'll take a break and we'll come back. We've got Jimmy. A lot to talk about with Jimmy, including a wild win. No pun intended. It was a wild win for the Wild. And then I'm seeing these rumors about possibly the next manager for the Twins. I don't know. There's a scuttlebutt happening. So we'll ask Jimmy about that too when we come back. So, yep, here we go. Taking a break. All Day Live continues right after this. Thanks for riding with us here. 1:47 on a Tuesday. All right, welcome back to All Day Live. 150 is your time. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday. You know who else is with us? It's our own Jim Rich, sports director, Jim Rich. Good to see you, Jimmy. Last time we talked to you, you were in jolly old London. How's it feel to be back?
It feels great. Feels great to be back. It's very nice out, very London-ish out right now today. One thing I'll tell you that I did not know, but Londonites are not superstitious. Really? Because in the hotel we stayed on, I was on floor 13.
Oh, interesting.
Never seen that ever. And I'm like, of course, really, the rest of us are kind of naive because all they go is 12, 14. So if you're on 14, oh, I'm good. I'm on the 14th floor. I mean, come on, folks. Really?
It is silly. I love that. I love that you saw that and that you didn't get lost in the tube and you're back here safe and sound. We want to talk about a couple of things with you here this afternoon. One, can we start with the Wild and how they're doing 3 games in now to the regular season? Yeah.
One, they get beat 5-0 in their first game, and they got outplayed. So the score wasn't indicative of what happened. Then on Saturday night, they have their home opener. Jacques Lemaire, the king of defense, is in the building. And what do the Wild do? They give up 7 goals. Jacques had to be beside himself, saying, come on, boys. Where is that neutral zone trap? The left wing locked. We got to shut this all down. What's happening here? But in that game, the Wild set a franchise record for shots taken, 52 shots on goal, yet you lose 7-4. So you're kind of wondering, what do we got here? So then last night, they play the LA Kings. Their power play comes out on fire again. 3 for 4 in the first period. They have a nuclear hot power play. Best in the entire National Hockey League, but then they never score 5-on-5. And so the Kings come back, tie it, they go to OT, go through that, go to the shootout, and Mr. Wallstead does the job, and the Wild get the extra point. So other than that, it's been a pretty dull start to the season.
Okay, yeah, it's good. They're off to a good. We're seeing good things. There's some good things we're seeing there. I don't know if you know anything about this, and I'm just reading off of just Twitter, which is not always a safe thing to do. But okay. is there any movement, anything on a manager for the Twins?
Well, I have not heard anything as of yet as to what they're looking into, but I mean, this is the time of year when you do make the hires. I remember when Rocco was hired 7 years ago. It came during the World Series. And so, this is the time if they're going to make a move. But really, I think Twins fans, and I almost hate to say this, you just kind of have to take a break here because Major League Baseball is going to go through some major upheaval. Unfortunately, it's not the end of this season. It's the end of the next season when the collective bargaining agreement is up. And that's when the owners are going to try to make it more palatable for all the franchises, not just the Yankees and Toronto and the big buck clubs to compete
what would that
every
be like?
single year.
That'd be great.
That would be very unique. I mean, if the NFL had this same structure, Green Bay wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
The Vikings wouldn't be good, but because they have sharing of all the revenue, everybody's got the same salary cap, and then so you have to make just moves in the sport, not just financial moves. Like the Yankees, they'll sign a bad player, they just cut him a check, let him go, and go sign another guy, right? And the Twins, and there's about 20 other clubs in the same boat as the Twins, really just don't have that financial wherewithal to sit and just throw money away on players. So it'd be nice if it was a balanced playing field for everybody.
All right. Anything else cooking? I know we don't have a starter yet for Sunday's game against the Eagles, right?
No manager, no starter. No, we don't have anything for you yet. We'll know a lot more tomorrow when the Vikings take to the field. You'll see the reps more. Ann O'Connell did say today when he was on with Paul Allen that he won't wait until Sunday to name a starter, so we will know during the week of what his plans are. But he says really there's no secrecy here. He just has to make sure that J.J. McCarthy is ready because he said, this kid is the future of the franchise, and we could get spun up like, oh, this Sunday we need him, or, we need this now. He's looking at the long-term future. The kid's supposed to be around here for a decade or two at quarterback and to provide some stability for the franchise. So that's kind of what they're thinking out there right now. So we will see.
All right, Jimmy. Thank you. We'll let you go. You got to get into work. So thanks.
All right. I'll go find you who the manager is.
Yep. Okay. Go shake some trees. All right. Thanks, Jimmy. All right. Amber joins me now to round out the show. Jimmy.
Got about 60 seconds,
Oh,
Amy.
60 seconds. Just looking at our website here, some of the headlines here. So if you want to check more out, ex-St. Paul police employee accused of possessing 11 pounds of meth fentanyl. Those charges are in. Also, we talked about Hudson, the school district voting last night. So if you want to follow up on that, and they voted to close some of those schools. The Monique Bao murder trial, it's a retrial. Opening arguments today. Already one of the jurors gone for cause. Yep, out. So off to a very rocky start there, and we'll have more on all of those stories and much more coming up tonight on Fox 9. So join us then.
We're going to close out, Amy, with Astra the polar bear, because Astra the polar bear made her public debut at the Como Zoo, and she's freaking adorable. So if you want to go see her, you can now, again, at the Como Zoo. She's 4 years old, comes from a zoo in Washington State, Tacoma, Washington. We're back tomorrow with a whole heck of a lot of news. We have another Minneapolis mayoral candidate on, Sandhill Cranes. What else we got going on, Amy?
More than we can mention in the next 30
County
seconds.
Commissioner? Okay, we're leaving. Goodbye.
and Frisbee. If you'd like to adopt her. She doesn't want to be in a home with cats, so Annie is available at the Golden Valley Adoption Center, and take her home. Go to animalhumanesociety.org. That will do it for us, the 11 o'clock news. See you tomorrow for the Fox 9 Morning News and back here at 11. Up next, it's All Day, which starts right now.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're so glad you're here with us, spending part of your Tuesday with us. It's it's a little dreary outside, a little drippy and overcast. Maybe if you're home today, it's a good day for a nap. It is a great nap day today, so hopefully you can get in some time to recharge, whatever that looks like for you. We've got a packed show for you coming up here the next couple of hours. As we roll into the noon hour, we'll be here with you until 2 o'clock. We've got some live events as well that we're following, but the fire chief in Minneapolis, you may have heard, officially announcing his retirement after decades of service. So Chief Brian Tyner is here, and looking forward to a really good conversation with him in about 15 minutes or so. He'll be right here. Gopher football does have some media availability today, so we're gonna take you there as well and try to listen in on as much as we can hear from some of the players. They'll be reacting, of course,